so we can still talk crap. All right, you're live.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was quick.
That was quick. Let's see here. Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Yeah, cool. All right. We're live. This is the Google Hangouts for Business with myself and Brandee Sweesy. Sorry, Brandee.
Come on now.
Yeah, already stepping on my tongue. I'm Chris Cain, and I own Blackfin Media Group. And today, Brandee and I are just going to talk a little bit about how to use Google Hangouts for your business. Brandee is the best that there is on using Google Hangouts to promote your business. So it looks like it's time for us to get started. So Brandee, if you're ready, we can get going.
I can't believe I'm always so proud of you for saying my name right, and then we go live on air and you say it wrong. What's up with that? Yeah, so hi, Brandee Sweesy. Thanks everybody for showing up. We appreciate that. Chris and I both talk really fast, but we want to make sure that you get as much content as possible. So a lot of people are always like, they ask me if I'm actually the Hangout expert, and I don't like that. I don't want to be considered necessarily a Hangout expert as much as a Hangout marketing expert. I have 20 years of marketing, public relations, event planning, and public speaking, strategic development experience. So I really get the psychology of actually Hangouts and how that can benefit your business. And that's why, so I don't like to sound like a tech nerd because I'm actually the opposite of that, but it's very much about the marketing. So that's always what I'm going to talk about, is what the marketing and the strategy and those types of things are. Particularly if you're a speaker, an author, a coach, you're trying to get your name out there, you're trying to get your brand out there, you really want to try to get your information in front of the right people, Hangouts are where it is at. And so we'll talk about, I think I have a little thing here of what you'll learn. Oops, nope, that's with Jordan Belfort. Here we go. All right, so we're going to talk about why Hangouts and why now, the best ways to use Hangouts and profit, and what you need to actually get started doing Hangouts on air. Now, what makes me so excited about Hangouts on air is because they're free. The biggest thing is the why Hangouts and why now is because they live stream to YouTube. So right now we're live streaming to YouTube, and as we all know, YouTube is Google's baby and the #2 search engine in the world. So that means that you're going to be able to get in front of people a lot quicker. So I really like to consider Hangouts to be video marketing on nitrous. And that's probably, it took me a long time to really become comfortable to say that I was, the badass in Hangouts. I've hired a couple of experts when I first got started as well, and though they are brilliant, and I highly support them as amazing teachers and amazing tech people, what I saw missing was no one was really grasping the Hangout. And to this day, I've seen some, pretty big people in our industry hire these experts, and I wish I had a screenshot of it, where they didn't title the Hangout right, they didn't keyword tag it right, they didn't put in a call to action right, and if any of these terms are above your head, don't worry about it, because I gave Chris permission to cut me off at any given moment, because I realize that sometimes I'm like drinking water through a fire hose. But
which I will too, because I am a Google Hangout novice. Like I'm learning as you talk as well, so I'm gonna have questions throughout the whole process. But I really like what you said about live streaming to YouTube and it being free. I mean, so many people want to put webinars on, and they use GoToWebinar, and you have a certain amount of seats that you can fill, and it costs more money if you want more seats. And with this platform, it'll take as much volume as you want to send to it.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that. So one of the things is, like, some people get afraid to, to do Hangouts, and I may even, like, my audio to video might be a little spotty because my internet was wonky today. The people came by and looked at it. So you just have to let that go, right? I mean, nothing is ever going to be perfect. And the big thing is, I love when really famous people do Hangouts and then they blame Hangouts. Where they say, oh, we had too many viewers, so we crashed the server. And I'm like, I call bullshit on that, because it's Google, so you're not going to crash it. If you crash a Hangout, it's usually user error or bad internet. That's what causes the Hangout to crash. It's not having too many viewers. You could have 5, 10, 20. I mean, the White House does Hangouts and it doesn't crash. So you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
White House does Hangouts, Richard Branson does Hangouts. So to say that your 1,100 people crash the Hangout, no, no. So those gurus that we sometimes look up to, and when they say that, I write them behind the scenes. I'm like, stop saying that because that is in fact not true. It was that you didn't know what you're doing. You should have hired me, and you wouldn't have had these issues. I don't say it quite like that, but so just realize that when you hear a lot of complaints about Hangouts. I've been in the Hangout space for a couple of years now, and so you'll hear that. And I'll give you like back even 2 years ago, what the biggest thing that I realized was the psychology of Hangouts. And so everybody's trying to make Hangouts replace like a GoToWebinar, and they're still using the exact same psychology that you would on a GoToWebinar. But let's go through history, right? So we had blogging that brought about the whole transparency thing. Then we had teleseminars. Well, then we now have some kind of tonality with people. Then we had the GoToWebinar, so we had a visual and a tonality, so we felt even more connected. Then we got into video marketing. Video marketing was fantastic, and we really felt connected with our people. But then the pros got into intros and outros and jump cuts, and then you kind of widen the empathy gap. When you want to, especially as a coach or a speaker or an author, when you have a big message to share with the world, it's really important to close that empathy gap. If you're held in too high of esteem, you really can't help somebody because it'll feel like, well, that's you. You have this big, awesome crew. You have all of this money in the world, but I'm over here struggling with, whatever, weight loss, motivation, whatever people are struggling with. They need to know that you've been where they've been. And so Hangouts really, on a psychological level, close that empathy gap. So like my very worst Hangout, the one that I thought was going to end my career, netted me 5 of my biggest clients doing Hangouts. Because I just
one thing too, I think about it. I'm sorry to interrupt you too.
Please. Yes.
I think you and I talked about this a little bit when we were in San Diego. But one of the advantages to Google Hangouts is the fact that, we're all human. You're going to make mistakes. We all have challenges, and we face those challenges daily, and things don't always go right. And it's like you were talking about earlier with the Google Hangout crashing. I think people, can relate to somebody that is real to them, and not just somebody that's happy all the time and somebody that's telling you to come buy this and your life's going to change, your world's going to change. But it feels more intimate, I guess you would say, because you're all kind of there together.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's why I really love Hangouts, because it is. It's like, here we are, you and I are hanging out. We're hanging out with the people that are watching. They can ask questions at any time. Shit may go wrong, like we even said. Like who knows what we're going to talk about. We're going to try to give as much, amazing content as possible. But it's really important to understand that when you get into Hangouts, so that you don't have that expectation of it being something else that you've experienced in the past, because remember, it is something new. Realizing the value of truly connecting with your audience, right? Those people that you really want to help. Coaches and speakers and authors really want to help people. That's at their core. We always want to. My stuff's really branded, right? But if shit goes wrong on the Hangout, well, then it goes wrong on the Hangout. I don't say, tank your brand over it, but, try to do as much as you can to be proactive. Right, I think that's really important. But that one-to-one connection is and that's what we all want, right? We don't want to have somebody the days of the gurus are gone. We really want to feel connected to the person that's helping us. At least that's my feeling.
Right. No, I totally agree. I think in my business, we're moving more, instead of doing stuff for people, we're moving more into a model of doing things with our clients, kind of in collaboration, as opposed to telling somebody what to do or doing it for them. We're working on it together.
Which is, and we all want that, right? Like, so because we get that accountability, we also get that reward of somebody, saying, hey, good job, and, you get the feedback, and that helps to push you forward.
Right.
So, I know a lot of people don't talk about, so my big favorite thing is, the psychology and then the strategy. Those are my 2 favorite things. So that's the big part of the psychology. So really just getting that, understanding that, not having it to be perfect. If you'll notice, we're not doing slides. A lot of people, when they do Hangouts, the biggest struggle is getting their slides. Well, what's the point of being face-to-face if you're going to hide behind your slides? And any good speaker knows to never rely on your slides. I've been a speaker for 20 years. I never use slides. So.
And we can send the slides later, right? We can send you the slides later if you want to see slides.
Yeah, but that's a big, so when people get really frustrated, with sometimes with Hangouts, they go, oh, my slides. I'm like, okay, well, then just use GoToWebinar. Like, if that's all you want to do is slides, the whole idea is that you be face-to-face with people. Like I did the little I'll pop up little things like that to make a point. You can do little things like that, but not to be so slide dependent and trying to make it, completely and totally replace a different platform. I remember when I first started in online marketing in the GoToWebinar, I was like, I hate creating slides. Like, it was such a tedious task because I'd rather talk face to face or get up on stage and just talk to people than to have to be reliant on my slides. So that's really important.
I can tell you, I can speak the content in about 5 minutes. It'll take me 5 hours to create slides to show to you.
I'm the exact same way. I had to speak at this one big, huge event here in San Diego, and they forced me to do slides. They were hideous. I was so embarrassed. And I actually got up on stage and said, I was forced to create slides. Happy to send you those slides. But let's just go ahead and let's talk. Like, what do you guys really want to learn about? I can get up here and spew my genius, or we could have a good time together and you actually learn what you need to learn.
Yeah, people are more engaged that way anyway.
Yeah, I always think so. That's when we said this today. I was like, hey, so I don't have any slides, so let's just roll with it. Okay.
No, we have nothing. We don't have a plan. We're just talking.
Yeah, we're just rolling with it. Yeah, that's perfect. Which is ideal, right? On a Hangout, that's ideal.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we talked about the psychology of Hangouts. Okay, so what do you technically need to get started? You need, obviously, a Gmail G+ account. You will never, ever hear me reference Google+, ever. I'll often say that when you have mastered it and have simplified it, by all means, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be happy to buy your course. Everything that I do is Hangout and YouTube related. So really all you need, actually, is a YouTube channel. So now, particularly, like used to when they first started, it doesn't really matter if you're just starting them now, but in case you've tried them in the past and have been frustrated, you used to have to go to G+ and go to the Hangout on Air page and start the Hangout on Air and then, blah, blah, blah. Now you can go into YouTube. In your YouTube channel, and I'll start speaking slower if anybody's taking notes. You go into your YouTube channel, into Creator Studio, which is up in the top right where your little profile is. Click on that. It'll say Creator Studio. It comes over. There's a full thing over here. It says Video Manager. The first thing that you'll want to check is your channel settings. You want to make sure that you're verified. And all they do is they send you a text message to get verified with a little code in it. Verified allows you to have uploads of more than 15 minutes. You should have that anyway if you're making any kind of video. And then probably about 2/3 down the page, it'll say Enable Live Events. You just click that, and then it enables live events. All of those other listings are all personal choices. Do you monetize your videos? Do you not? Do you allow this? Do you not? Those are all personal choices. You want to be verified, and you want to have YouTube live events enabled. And then once that's done, you go into your Video Manager, and you go into Live Events. And then in Live Events, up in the top right, it'll say Create New Live Event, and a screen will open up. And it'll let you title it, keyword tag it, put in the description, and it'll say quick start using Hangouts on Air, and then you just push start there. You can also, this is the beauty of this, when this came out, it's been out for a while, but when this came out I was so excited because as a coach and a consultant, you could do them as unlisted and private. So if you do any coaching or consulting, so we could just record this and then send a link to our client if we were on with a client right now, which is beyond brilliant. I love. So that I don't have to screen flow it, download it, render it screw up, blah, blah. So all of your coaching calls can just be done right here, unlisted or private. You end broadcast, you send them the link, now they have it for perpetuity to come back and reference all of your coaching calls, which is you should do anyway as a coach, right? You should record all your calls.
Right. I got a question for you.
Yeah, let's do it.
You said when you create a new live event, that's where you go in and you put your tags. Are these tags the tags that are going to be your meta tags, like for your ranking? What are you talking about when you say you go in and put your tags?
Yeah, so my process is threefold in strategy. So that was the tool. We'll talk a little bit about the inside of the tool in a second, but so I always say, so exactly what we did today, you always want to send all of your traffic to a controlled environment, right? So i.e., we put it on my website. You had a landing page that asked people to register, right? So we're controlling that environment, right? Because ultimately we do want leads. We do want to get people, in contact with us. The other side of that is that you don't want to neglect YouTube. So the biggest mistake that I see, and probably one of my biggest pet peeves, is that not everyone, but so many people neglect the power of YouTube. So you don't need to be an SEO specialist. You don't need to be a keyword specialist. You don't need keyword planner. You just need to use common sense.
Yeah.
So if you'll notice, I named this Hangout, How to Use Google Hangouts for Your Business with Chris Cain and Brandee Sweesy. Right? If we wrote Chris Cain and Brandee Sweesy, nobody, because, you know, God love us, you know, nobody's ever going to search for the two of us, right? Like, nobody's ever going to, like, maybe if it was like, you know, yacht party video, then maybe. But,
Right.
you know, but we were on a mastermind yacht together, and it was a big party and whatever. But then maybe somebody would search us. So always remember that YouTube is a search engine. When you embed the Hangout on your site, nobody's looking for that name. They just want a controlled environment to go to. But when you name that Hangout, name it something that somebody would search for. How to fix this, you know, where would I learn? Like when you go in Google, you don't say, you know, Chris and Brandee. You don't say Hangouts for Business. You don't say, you know, social media this. You ask very specific questions that, you know, so think of it as a search engine. And like I said, you don't have to be any kind of SEO genius. Then on the description box, and you'll notice in our description box, is that the very first sentence, I have a call to action. And the call to action is to come over here to the website and watch it. So if they happen upon us while we're live right now, and they go in and say, how to use Google Hangouts for my business, right? Because we're not going to talk Chris Cain and Brandee Sweesy. That was just for us at the very back end. They'll type how to use Hangouts for their business. Now, if they type that in and they don't know where we're at and where we're taking questions and what's going on, that very first line, I have a call to action. So I said, hey, come over here if you have questions. We'll be interacting live, you know, and then put in a little description. Then keyword tags are just the keywords that you're speaking about. So the tags on this particular one was Hangouts for Business, how to use Hangouts, both of our names, and hashtag HOA for Hangout on Air, because that'll help it rank higher. I think that's it. I think I only put about 4 or 5 keywords. You don't want to keyword load something because it just doesn't serve your purpose. And again, all common sense, all terms that we've used throughout this video. You know, we've said each of our names. We've said Hangouts for Business. We've said, you know, so you want to make sure, because the closed captioning, YouTube automatically closes captions for the hearing impaired, but what most people don't realize is that the bots are going through to see if the keywords match. So I always tell people to slow way down on your keywords. So I talk really fast, blah, 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 and we're talking about Hangouts for business. You know, like it's just like little silly stuff like that, but it's important. You should do this in all your videos. Always slow down on your keywords.
Talking to the guy that's watching you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you slow way down on that. So that's where you do that. So that's where the strategy really comes in, and that's really where the power is. You know, obviously I have it on my website. I love all the wrappers. You know, there's Webinar Jam and Easy Webinar, and the Facebook app that we're talking about, 22 Social. You know, there's plenty of wrappers for your Hangouts and controlled environments for your Hangouts. Just don't neglect YouTube. You know, and that's a big thing. Like with GoToWebinar, when I had to, like when I was on the bleeding edge and fighting with everybody, to be like, why aren't we all doing Hangouts? They're like, well, I can't, like the autoresponders or whatever. Well, then put it in your autoresponder. Time it in your own autoresponder. You know, you do all that, but I want somebody to do a study on how many people did not download the GoToWebinar thing. Like every time I get on a GoToWebinar and I have to download, I'm in marketing and I hate having to download that. Now imagine someone that's like freaks out every time you have to download something.
I delete it after every webinar.
I know, because I had like 50 the other day.
Right, you know, I mean, I hate it, but
yeah. I do too, and I wish somebody would have done a study on that when we argue about this. So, you know, it's up to you to really, so that's why I love the controlled environment. So, you know, if we had used my landing page today, all outside traffic would have gone to hangoutsforbusiness.com, and then anybody that's in, you know, that has registered in my list, like Chris did with yours, you know, you mail this particular website with a watch live that's only for them, and it wouldn't be necessarily shared public. So we wouldn't have promoted this page. We're kind of winging it today.
Right.
We had some tech issues this morning, but normally what we would have done is we drove them to the landing page, and then they would, you know, and then an email sequence would have ended up on this page to be able to watch live. But now once we end the broadcast, you know, Chris can go in and already the replay is there. It's all going to be on the hangoutsforbusiness.com/watch live CC. he could just put that link there, and it'll sit there forever until he says, hey, will you take it down, or, you know, it breaks, which, as you know, I've been prone to break stuff. So, you know what I mean? So,
I'm pretty good at breaking stuff too.
yeah, there we go. All right, so how are we doing? Do you have any questions? Because I know that I'm like, we're jumping all over the place.
No, not currently. I think you're doing good.
All right, thanks. Yeah, because I told you, like, well, now we went like in a couple of different directions. So hopefully, yeah. Well, you're taking notes. Maybe you'll send notes to people.
I will.
So also, you know,
you know what I was gonna say? I knew I had something, and I forgot it. When you're talking about the controlled environment, not only, I mean, obviously you want to control the environment, but for me, you know, when you go to a webinar on a GoToWebinar and it takes you to that app and you have to download that app and you're on this third-party platform, it doesn't seem as high-tech and as cool and as comfortable as having the Hangout embedded into your website. You know, I mean, I remember the first time that I actually watched a Google Hangout and it was in someone's website, and I was like, how do you do that? I was like, I mean, I don't want to send people somewhere else. I want to send them to my site for my branding, for, you know, so every time we do this, they know my name and they know what I do. And whether they buy from me right then or not, you know, both of us, we're in the business of educating people and trying to help people. So, you know, every time that they go to our site, then that's an opportunity for us to be able to do that.
Yeah. Well, that was a big thing, you know, because then I also like that you can have like Facebook comments where people are used to that, and then they sit there too, so you can go back and respond. So sometimes if it's moving too fast, you can go back and respond after the broadcast is over. Maybe you can't do it necessarily in time. If you're running a Hangout just by yourself, you may not be able to, you know, manage the buttons and manage to make sure the website's fine and manage the comments and manage. So they're just sitting there, and then they're great for compounded social proof.
But that's important too. I mean, what you said is you don't have to have a huge tech team. You don't have to have this, you know, all these employees. You can do it yourself, and you can manage it yourself. You know, I mean, that's the beauty of it.
Well, and that's what I suggest. Like, you know, so it's so funny because we're all such overachievers or perfectionists, or whatever positive spin we can put on that. You know, a lot of people, when they want to get into Hangouts, they want to do these big, massive productions. They want to, everything has to be perfect. They want to play video in it. They want an intro and an outro and a jump cut. They want to do all of these crazy, insane things. And remember at the beginning of our conversation, when I was talking about closing the empathy gap, you're really just having a conversation. And so I tell all of my clients and anyone that'll talk to me, I'm like, 7 minutes, dude. Like 7 minutes. That's all you got to do. Pop open your laptop, talk for 7 minutes, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. Just consistent. This is the best way to consistently get out content. There is no better way to get out content on a daily, weekly, every 3 days, whatever your schedule is. Like with all marketing, it's all about consistency. There's no easier way than to pop open your laptop, spew your brilliance for 2 to 5 minutes, end the broadcast, boom, done. Now it's out there on YouTube. You embed it on your website. Now you have a vlog, and you don't have to do anything else to it. And you're building relationships. And God knows you don't want 5,000 people on your first Hangout. Trust me when I tell you.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, like you want to get comfortable with it. And, you know, the biggest thing that most people don't realize now, so we're kind of doing webinar style, so it's okay that we're probably going to go the hour. But if you're a coach or speaker and author, or, you know, you have something to share, an hour is beyond ludicrous. Like, I have never watched an hour YouTube video. You know, I have probably 50 bookmarks, but I look at the time, and then in this ADD world, and not just me, because we were talking about this before, but you know, you want to keep it at 7 minutes. The average TV show is 30 minutes, when in fact it's 17 minutes of content, right? The average 1 hour show is like 42 minutes of content. 38 to 42, right? So when people first start doing Hangouts, they want to do these big 1 hour interview style shows. That's you're requesting a massive commitment from somebody,
right?
To sit there, and you better be flipping on fire, entertaining, you know, kicking some butt. You're like nonstop, no lapses. No, like you got to be go, pattern interrupt. Like that's a lot to do to stay at that kind of energy level for that long. You know, we all shoot video. It's hard because, you know, we have to be more energetic on video. It's hard to stay at that energy level for an hour straight with no break. I mean, even professionals don't do it. They do it for 17 minutes to 42 minutes.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and I would rather watch 7 to 12 minutes. And when I shoot my videos, I want them to be, anywhere from 4 to 10 minutes. And
Yeah.
break them up. I mean, really, like you say, if you have an hour-long, hours worth of content, break it up into 10 videos. Segment them out, make different modules. I mean, it'll be a whole lot easier for people to go back and find the content they want, and they'll enjoy it, and they'll actually watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big thing. That's why, and I also say that, my big thing is use what you have. You'll never hear me say that you have to go and get any expensive software. If you so my website to this day is on the it's probably on Optimized Press 1 for all I know, because I knew how to use it back then.
Yeah.
And so I own every flipping thing on the planet, but I still stick with Optimized Press 1. Because we get buyers, the shiny ball buyer stuff, like newest, latest, great. No, here's your first mission after this hangout today is to open up your laptop and go shoot a 3-minute piece.
Yeah.
And then in 2 days, go shoot another 3-minute piece. And then just have it on YouTube. Don't worry about embedding yet. Don't worry about any of that yet. Just get consistent with doing the content, because you're going to tighten up your stuff, because it's really important to tighten up your opening and your closing eventually. And it'll take a while to get there. If you watch, if you go back, I love to cyberstalk famous people and see famous online people and see how they were in the beginning and how they are now. And you'll see it takes them about, maybe a year probably to really tighten up that close. And what I mean by that close is, hey, so if you like this, go ahead and hit subscribe, or leave your comments below, or this is where the real magic goes over here. Make sure that you tweet it. You'll find your groove of a close. Like I don't have a groove of a close. I have a good, hi, this is Brandee Sweesy with BrandeeSweesy.com. I'm super excited that you're here. Hey, so just to give you a heads up, there's about a 30 to 45 minute delay between what you're going to hear and what I'm going to be saying. So go ahead and start posting your comments right now, and we're going to go ahead and rock this. So I got my opening down. I don't have my close down yet. And I've been doing this for a while,
You should have done the intro instead of I.
I know, you're doing like what I always laugh at on a Hangout. So, are we live? I don't know. Do you see it? Are we live?
What is this button at the top that's blinking?
What's the button at the top that's blinking? Yeah, yeah, exactly, for you. I'm like, what button? I don't see a button. So yeah, that's my biggest advice, is just start doing them. Let them go on YouTube. Once you get comfortable with doing a Hangout, like you get comfortable with doing, like that intro, the outro, sharing a couple minutes of content, you start getting a little bit more, okay, we're going to pop up some things like that. Then start thinking about, okay, now I'm good on camera. I'm good on live, right? I'm good. Okay, I've got that down. I feel good here. All right, now I really need to think strategy. Okay, so this is my landing page. This is my watch live page. No matter what you use, like I said, there's plenty of tools out there to use. I always say use what you have before you invest in anything else. Then you do a few more. Now you got that down. Now you have your own system down. I mean, in my course and, with all my clients, I have checklists that say, okay, this. You can speed up the process for sure. But, just getting comfortable with that. And then once that's done, then you move on to a little more, gangstery stuff. But the biggest thing is that you really have to know why you're doing them. Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, you have to understand why are you doing Hangouts. Is it to get more clients? Is it to share content? Is it to get your brand out there? And then reverse engineer, how your content's going to roll. But in the beginning, I mean, gosh, like think back to Gary Vee way back in the day. He would just crack open his laptop and talk about wine, and now he owns, what, a $30 million media company. So stop putting so much pressure on yourself for it to be perfect and look perfect. Just start freaking doing it. So, anyway, what were you going to say? Sorry.
No, I was about to say that was amazing. I remember watching those initial videos that he did, and they were so bad. But I mean, he was talking about something that people cared about, and he was giving them information that they wanted, and it didn't really matter the quality of the video. He was telling them about a wine, whether it was good, whether it was bad, and they would go buy it, and they would buy it from him.
Right. Yeah, and I love to use him as an example, because look at how far he's come, and he doesn't give a shit. Like, you know what I mean? He was just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna shoot some videos. Right, yeah. And it's so funny because everybody's like wound up about the this is the year of YouTube. I'm like, YouTube's been around for a little bit. Now it's just now trickling down, and that's the other reason why I kind of shelved that. I mean, I have my private clients with Hangouts, but and I have my course, right? But I hadn't been so publicly vocal about Hangouts, but it seems like it got some kind of big resurgence, and everybody's talking about them again. So yeah, now's the time. Like I was on the bleeding edge. I mean, you're like the, when you're the pioneer with the arrows in your back.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah. It's so same thing I have going
You
on with
paved the
YouTube.
way for the rest of us to profit.
Yeah, and it's fascinating now because I'm getting off like everybody's been buying my course lately and reaching out for consults and stuff. And I was like, did I miss something? Was there an article out there about Hangouts or something? But I think that I think that when it first comes out, it's the shiny ball, and then of course there's going to be bugs and stuff happens and it gets frustrating, and then nobody's teaching it properly. To this day, nobody's teaching it properly, other than me, and that's not an egoic statement. That is very much. It took me this long to feel that confident to say that. And I've looked at a lot of people's stuff, and again, though I love them and their teachings, their style of teaching is amazing, and their content's amazing, they still have not grasped the marketing aspect of it
Right.
or the psychology of it. They get the power of the buttons and things like that, but it really does come down to you've got to get that. I'm connecting with you face to face. We're having a conversation face to face, and then the power of the marketing side of it. That's, to me, I hate to keep on beating on this, but that's really important to understand. That's how you're going to be successful with it, and then just start doing it consistently. I see you over there writing, Chris. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that the one of the main points that you're talking on is the consistency, is not to do 2 or 3 videos and not do it for a month. I think it's something, whether you don't have to do it every day, but do one every 3 days or one every 4 days, or I wouldn't go more than every 4 days, but if you really want to get good at it, you have to practice it, right? You have to do it, and the more videos you make, the more exposure you're going to have, but be consistent.
Yeah, and then just like with any content, right? Like if you can set up a little content schedule, you guys have it so lucky. Like you're rocking a baseball cap and a t-shirt today. For me, like every time I have to do a hang, I'm like, man, I gotta put on makeup, wash my. Like the other day, you and I were talking. I was like, I gotta wash my hair, shower, shit. Like if I was a guy, I would do one every single morning. I'd be like, here's what I want to talk about today. This is a thought that popped in. Here's my stupid dream I had last night and how this relates to you. Like I would be up in it every day, but I am not putting. There's a reason why I'm an online entrepreneur. I don't want to have to put up my 80s hair and put on my face every day. So for all those women that feel my pain, yes, every few days is perfectly fine. Once a week is perfectly fine. It's just about being consistent. You guys, though, every freaking day you should be doing it.
I agree. I'm gonna start doing it every day.
Yep, I would, Chris. Like especially for you, like you got so much content, right? Like you have so much information.
Right.
Again, like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 7 minutes. Like maybe it's an action item a day. Maybe it's not. Something. I get a little hashtag rocking with that too. Like some kind of cute, fun hashtag thing rocking. I'd be all up in it. If I was a guy, you wouldn't be able to keep me off Hangouts.
Right, bro. That's the direction I'm moving. I'm gonna have to buy your course when this hangout's over.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you should definitely be doing them every single day. There's no doubt about it. Or at least every other day, or like pick like a Tuesday, Thursday. Like pick 2 days that that your people are around. And again, it doesn't matter. Nobody has to be there live, right? So a lot of times, like people get upset if somebody's not there live because of course we want external validation. But when you're doing 2 to 7 minute videos, like who cares? You don't have enough time to answer them anyway.
Right.
The power is that it's still sitting on YouTube. The power is that you can put it on your website as content. That's
right.
Those are the 2 power pieces right there.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was about to touch on is, I assume that most of the people that will be watching this market in some level on Facebook. And we all understand that Facebook is going to native ads, right? So you have this content, you put it on your website or your blog or whatever, then you can drive traffic to these little bits and pieces of content. In return, push those people back to a funnel. Or wherever you want to push them, but you don't have to worry about Facebook shutting down your accounts or banning you, because what you're really doing is you're providing the information that people want, and you're providing it free, but with the back end goal that you're going to monetize that in some way, because that's what we do as marketers. We build funnel, we collect data, and we find ways to monetize it.
Well, yeah, and I mean, so speaking to that, so this is the other thing that I love about Hangouts. So right now, we have this Hangout, right? We end broadcast. We can just, it's on the website. We don't have to touch it over there. We already keyword tagged it, so it's on YouTube, so we're done with that. But if you wanted to get, even a little more gangstery, then you take this content, download it as an MP4, right, and load it into Facebook video. And now
Right.
you have your Facebook video. And as we know, Facebook's trying to compete with YouTube as a video platform. And the beauty of this, so I do the YouTube advertising side of it, right? So Chris, you and I have talked extensively. This might be a little bit much for the audience, but like YouTube ads, we're only doing 30 to 32 seconds on the YouTube ads, right? But what we're finding is on Facebook ads, 6 to 7 minutes works really well on their video platform. Like every platform has a different video style. So it's really important to understand that. So let's say you take this content from this Hangout, you could chop it up into, the 7 hot minutes, right? So you download it as an MP4, just edit out to the 7 hot minutes, take this video, put it up on Facebook as a video ad. Now you're just repurposing this exact same content. But it's one effort that was free. Now, yeah, it's a little bit of labor to edit it and stuff, but I mean, still, that, and look, so using, sorry, I have to cough.
That's right. But, using, I mean, there's so many tools out there that are cheap. Like what's the Camtasia, or whatever it is.
Camtasia.
Yeah, I mean, we could download this video to that platform and edit it in 5 or 10 minutes. Somebody that doesn't know how to edit video, and have it segmented and saved in ways that you can put it on Facebook or put it on YouTube or wherever you want to put it.
Right. Yeah. Well, you can too. Like, so I tell a lot of people, like when they do the big 1 hour, the people that still insist on doing the 1 hour hangouts, you can go into the hangout, right? So let's say we end the broadcast, and we know that if somebody fell in the video, they wouldn't want to watch an hour, right? Because it's it's too much. But we could go into the video, make a copy of it, and I tell all my clients to do this, and I charge $1,000 an hour, so you're getting $1,000 an hour information right now, is that take the hour video, make a copy of it in YouTube, go into YouTube Editor, find 3 hot 2 minutes, like 3 different hot 2 minutes. Take that hot 2 minutes, make that one, take that hot 2 minutes, make that one, take hot 2 minutes, make that one, and then on all those 3 hot minutes, have an external annotation if you'd like to see more, if you'd like to see the longer version, so that you're constantly directing them back to the longer version, but you're still taking the same content, you're staying within the platform, you're using their editing tools, you're using their tools, which they love you for, right? And we're still driving them back to that original thing. That makes sense?
Absolutely.
This is this is the big dog stuff, right? So I bet if you most of my clients do this, and it's really smart to do it if you do have a really long time with content. Sorry, the cough's coming back on, so I'm talking too much. So yeah, so that's really paying attention to that. I wish people were posting questions or post questions in advance, because I'm just going to keep on rolling. We didn't really talk too much about the technology. There's tons of content out there about the technology of which buttons to push. I will say that less is always more. The less that you have going on in your Hangout, the better. So the only apps that I use is the Hangout Toolbox, which is what allows me to have this very branded thing. I'm very big on branding, so I have my very special branded lower third. You can put that in your Hangout Toolbox as a custom overlay. They also have lower thirds if you don't want to do stuff like that. The internal chat, so Chris and I could be chatting right now, and nobody would see that. That's a really good way to, like, hey, keep rolling. Hey, can you slow down? Your camera's off. Whatever. Or sometimes behind the scenes people make jokes. Chris and I are pretty public about our joking and making fun of each other and ourselves. So we haven't been using the internal chat today.
Because I don't know how to use it. That's why. I didn't even know it was available.
I know, well, because we were so busy talking before we went on air that I didn't even school you on any of this.
That's right.
The only other app that I use, it's called the Cameraman app. The Cameraman app will determine who's in the big screen on the video. So even as if you leave it, okay, so let me figure out how to say this. So sometimes you want the thumbnails to show up and sometimes you don't. So if you have a big panel, like you have 8 people, people might be like, oh, like if Chris was over there doing that, then you'd be like, wow, she really sucks.
Or I'm drinking beer or something and you don't want people to see that.
No, because it makes me want a beer. Yeah, like happy hour. Yeah, so I mean that's well, it's so funny. One of my favorite hangouts last year, or year before last, was Richard Branson and Elon Musk and some entrepreneurs from around the world. And So you're listening to Richard Branson, but down in the thumbnails, Elon's sitting there like mowing down on a sandwich, some hot girls walking around in the background, and I was so focused on the thumbnail that I wasn't listening to what Branson was saying. So unless your guests are very professionally trained and sit there and actually look alert and pay attention, sometimes it's good to hide the thumbnails. So in the Cameraman app, you can set that, either to hide the thumbnails or not hide the thumbnails. I know how Chris and I are, so I wasn't too worried about it. So that's, if you're producing for somebody, and you can make money as a producer too, just as an FYI. That's how I got started in all this, is making money as the person that produces for people. So that's really good too. So that's the Cameraman app. And then the only other thing that's really important, and another one of my pet peeves when watching Hangouts, is what they call pinning. So on the little thumbnails, so if you leave it, so Google sound recognizes, right? If you leave it to Google's, if you don't pin it, it'll just flip back and forth like this every time there's any sound, like a flip of a paper. And you'll get motion sickness watching anybody's stuff. So if you click on the little thumbnails, so you could do the same, Chris. If you click on the thumbnails, it'll make me stay in the main screen or you stay in the main screen. Here's the caveat, though. In order that when we end broadcast, whoever is the initiator of the Hangout is the one that determines that. So even if you think you've been doing it this whole time, I have in fact been doing it this whole time. So not that I think that you'll go back and watch our 1 hour, video, but you'll see that, when you were talking, I put you in the main screen. When I'm talking, I put me in the main screen.
Right.
And so that's just by clicking on those thumbnails. When you do private Hangouts or whatever, so for the recording purposes, it's important to do that. And then also as a producer, it's important to really pay attention to that.
Man, if I'd have known that, I would have been looking at you the whole time as opposed to looking at myself.
Right.
Yeah. Myself this whole time.
Yeah, that's like, well, it's so funny. Yeah, it's so distracting. Here's a couple little camera tips, right? And I'm shocked at how many people don't know this. And God loves speakers. They don't really, they don't transfer to camera that great because they're used to having audience feedback. It's really, 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 really important. And you've nailed it, Chris. And I knew I didn't have to tell you about this. Is like keeping the camera at eye level, right? Mm-hmm. It is our natural tendency to want to watch ourselves. Because I'm doing that pinning thing, I'll look down for that. I'm like, oh, I hate it when I do that. But I'm like, cannot quite look down and pin. But I try to look at the camera the whole time instead of looking at the screen and looking at you or looking at what's going on. And then when I switch over to you, you'll notice that I'm like over here, like, okay, let me go check and see if there's any questions. Let me do this. Let me do that. So as a person that's on air camera, look into the camera. I always say, even like right now, mine's like right at eye spot, but I'm in a corporate setting right now, and so sometimes I have it a little bit higher up, so it'll force you to look up. And this is okay. So you want to talk a little psychology on what I'm talking about? This is pretty funny.
Yeah, sure.
So Jordan was one of my clients, right? So when we were setting it up, this was like right after the Wall Street came out. It's probably like what, January? It says it, January 11th. And so he was pretty polarizing in the marketplace, right? So I had his assistant back that camera up so far and make it be like a foot or two above so that he had to look up and not look down on the audience.
Right.
Because I really wanted to make sure that in no way, so that's the psychology of it. So a lot of people, when they do Hangouts, when you're looking down, there's a psychology to looking down on the people, right? And so you don't want to be looking down at your laptop all the time because it looks like, well, in this case, you're going to like just see my makeup. But if it was on my webcam camera and I was looking down, then it would feel like I was looking down on somebody. And though it's not really that obvious, there's psychological triggers to all these like little nuances when you do any type of video or Hangout or anything like that, is that you really want to be aware of that. So like that was like why Jordan's such a great example. I was like, okay, he was so polarizing that in no way, shape, or form I had to guarantee that he not look down at any time. You know, right. Like, and they're like, "Why is this important?" I don't understand. But he's a pro, right? So he was like looking straight at the camera, but the whole time, just to make sure that there was no risk of him ever looking down. You know. So.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, and that's a good point too, because that's not something that most people think about.
Yeah. Well, and that's what Well, this is the other thing. Like, there's so many different things that like there's all kinds of training on. The camera. So like if you have a hard time looking at the camera, when I first started, I would put little Post-it notes, because when I started off on my webcam. Now I have like a little, it's called the the C920. So it sits on a little tripod, but it's still right here. I use that now, but in the beginning I had my laptop. So I would set my laptop up higher, and then I put Post-it notes on either side of the camera that said "I love you." Just to remind myself that, I do love my audience, right? But and not to be, but just to be thinking of, because body language and everything else, just to be thinking of that I do in fact care about the people that I'm talking to. So yeah, little hot pink Post-it notes on either side of the camera. Mark Anthony Bates says put a little Gumby on top of the camera. Whatever you have to do, just make sure that you're aware of the camera and that you're looking at it.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
Okay, I thought you were coming back on, so I was like, okay, I switched over to you, and then I was going to go look. Let's see, what else would be some good information on camera? Okay, so big thing that everybody worries about, particularly women, is that you gain 10 pounds on camera. That would be the least of your concerns. What the camera actually, in fact, does is sucks 50% of your energy. So it's really important that you up your energy. Now, not to be fake or to, because Chris knows me, we've met, we've hung out, but I'm amped up, right? But I'm still the same. Now, if I talk like how Chris and I talked, like, so what's up? So we're, so I'm doing this YouTube ad thing and, these hangout things, and it would be very dull. So I have to up my energy to be on camera because I'm losing 50% of that energy. Now, it's funny, though, because if you watch, like, anybody that meets me on the street, that they've seen my videos, they feel like they know me, and I'm the exact same person.
Right.
A big thing is about congruency as well. So it's not being fake. It's not going over the top. I mean, I am exactly like this. But if I was in normal Brandee tone and Chris and I were just sitting there talking, having a beer, it would be a lot more, yeah, so what do you think about that? And, so on camera, I like, you see, like, my energy is up. And that's, a lot of people talk on Hangouts like they're talking to their mother on the phone. Yeah, so, yeah, he's an asshole. What was I going to say? Like, no, you're going to lose a viewer. Like you only have a 1.5 seconds to capture somebody. So to, like, make sure that energy's up and you're staying engaging and you're keeping the pace and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
What do you got? I see you over there writing notes, Anna. Like.
Well, I mean, you have to have that energy, because if you don't, then people are just going to get bored and they're not going to watch. I mean, it's not being fake. It's just, presenting your information in a way that people engage with you.
Yeah. Okay, I'm trying to look at the question, but I got my thing. So can audience members take the cam and the mic? Can audience members, this is from Tammy, can audience members take the cam and the mic? Okay, so I'm going to try. So remember, you're about 30 seconds behind me, so I'm going to go ahead and try to answer it, and if I don't answer it properly, then please post that question again. Let's see. Yeah, Tammy, please post that question again. Oops, and I didn't put the pinning back on me because I was over there doing that. See what happens? Can the audience member take the cam or a mic? So you mean that, okay, so I initiated the Hangout. Could Chris, in fact, take it over?
I think what they're asking is not you or I, but someone who is sitting in watching us. Any of the members that that registered and signed up that are watching. Is there a function or a way for them to actually talk to us?
If you have predetermined to have guests in your Hangouts, then they would just be another thumbnail in the Hangout, right? I've tried this in the past, and I actually love doing it. But sometimes, you're not in control of someone's operating system and internet speed, and so you run into a lot of technical difficulties. So what I usually suggest is that you sort of pre-screen people. So, like, I had one client that, brought in like 8 of their, coaching students. But what we did, as a part of my consulting service is that I went through with all 8 of them to make sure that they had the right camera, advised them on lighting, advised them on microphone, advised them on camera presence, to make sure they had the app downloaded, all of that stuff. So then the day of the event, they were well prepared, and all I had to do was, like what you did today, all they had to do was click a link, they come in, and boom, they were there. So they were already kind of coached on, and we made sure that there was no technology issues. Because, like some people they want to do it on their iPad, or they're on a 1980s, computer. You have to have a certain amount of system to be able to hold up on a Hangout.
Right.
And then if it's the way that, let's see if she's responded yet. Then there's a way to Okay, so I'm seeing you and Bill Walsh. Can others make presentations? She's seeing me and Bill Walsh. There you go, Chris. You're Bill Walsh. Can others make presentations? like, um, no. So no one would be able to do anything within this Hangout other than Chris and I. So Tammy, you're posting the questions right now. Unless we invited you in now, if you were to come into this Hangout, then you could make a presentation and do things. But as a viewer, no, you're not able to do anything in here. The reason why we're using the Facebook commenting system is so that we have some interaction with people and that they ask questions. So we appreciate you for asking questions. But there's no way that you could come in and do a presentation, and there's no way that anybody else could. I will tell you that, like what I was talking about where we prepped people, I say be cautious in bringing people in because you're responsible ultimately as the initiator of the Hangout. So if Chris was to start playing a song that is copyrighted, I would get the copyright infringement ban. If he did anything that was, anything copyright wrong, I'm still held responsible. Also, my account would be held responsible. Also, there's a horror story from a couple of years ago where somebody thought it would be really cool just to let people click and come in, and somebody came in without pants on and wanted to share their special gifts with the world. So just be very aware of just letting anyone come into your Hangout because, you're responsible for copyright. You don't want to lose your accounts, and then you also don't want anything inappropriate going out to your audience.
And there are people out there that just want to troll and want to cause havoc. So you really need to know who the people are that you have on your Hangouts.
All right, Tammy's rocking and rolling. Thank you, Tammy. So how many are allowed? You can have yourself plus 9, so 10 total within a Hangout. They have upped that for Hangouts on Air. So in this platform. They have upped it if you get, there's an app in like the business apps that you can get up to 15. I don't know why anybody would want 15, to be honest with you, particularly not on air. It sounds fun to have 8, 9, 10 people, but it's really hard to manage, because people have to talk over, and then, while some people get a little long-winded, so somebody talks for 20 minutes and you still have 8 more guests to get through. So I always say try to keep it a little tight, break it up a little bit. If you're going to ever use these as summits, which I think is a beyond brilliant idea, just do one-on-one summits. Like you are the summit host, and then you have your guest, and maybe you have 2 people on the same theme or 2 people on opposing themes. Do things like that. I think that's good. I'm in a mastermind. It's bi-weekly, and I think there's 10 of us, right? And we do it on Hangouts, and we have to be timed to 7 minutes. We each have exactly 7 minutes to talk. So, it's very, like in a mastermind, you only have 7 minutes to get the point. Now, can you imagine as somebody that's coming on that wants to pitch something, there's no way you're getting them off in 7 minutes. It just will never happen. Sadly, that's the unfortunate part. All right, go ahead, Chris. Your turn. I'm checking questions while you're on the main screen.
Well, yeah, just to your point, once you get too many people in a room trying to talk, when you're talking, as you're talking, I have 10 or 15 questions as you're talking, and I don't want to interrupt you, but if you have 5 or 6 other people on the Hangout with you, they all have that same mentality. They all want to talk. They all want to contribute. So it just gets to the point where a certain amount of people is just too many. It's just you're not going to be able to get anything done. And you and I already have probably gotten off track from the plan that you probably had is getting us to the end. And that would, it would be the same thing. It would just be a mastermind of different ideas.
Yeah. So Tammy asked about location and devices too. So you can initiate from an iOS. You can join from an iOS. I can join from my iPhone. I can join from an iPad. I think that's changing pretty soon. I have to do my due diligence on this. I say, so here's the biggest thing. It's kind of like, what was that movie? How to Marry My Big Fat Greek Wedding, where he put Jack Daniels on everything. The answer to every problem you'll ever have in a Hangout is hardwired. You have got to be hardwired. And even as I've probably experienced today, where my internet's been kind of wavy and they came by and they're trying to get a little bit more solid, even being hardwired, there was probably times when my visual to voice was not matching. So you've got to be hardwired. I don't care if you think you have the best Wi-Fi on the planet, you must be hardwired. I even talked to the guy that invented Hangouts, the Chichu, and he could try to convince me that having a mobile hotspot was enough bandwidth. And it did okay. I went and bought the hotspot because I told him, like sometimes I'm at conventions and stuff, can I use the hotspot? And he was like, yeah. He said you only needed 2. The biggest thing is upload speed. Most people just check their download speed. It's really your upload speed that has to be banging.
Are you saying that all the presenters that are on the Hangout need to be hardwired, or just the one that's hosting it?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Everybody. I mean, the person that initiates a Hangout is taking the brunt of it, but still, every issue that you could ever trace goes back to being hardwired. But again, like point taken today that I was a little worried about for ours, so the internet people are out here, they're telling me, my upload speeds are telling me that I'm on target, but I speed tested 6 different times and got 6 different, pretty diverse numbers being hardwired. So that's even bigger on Wi-Fi, because there's always going to be the dips in the service. So there's dips in, I'm in a corporate housing, where so I'm still in town for another event. So I did just a corporate rental. This is a corporate rental that's supposed to have, really good internet because it's a corporate rental. And it's been, it goes in waves. So being hardwired all the time is the answer.
We're lucky that I'm still here then.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was afraid of. I was like, oh my God. I was like, okay, please do not let anything go. We are an orderly group. Yeah, Tammy, you rock, Tan. Thank you so much for showing up, and thank you for asking questions, and then not putting all of the pressure on Chris to ask questions. That's awesome. Chris, do you have any questions? Because I think I've covered a lot, but I want to make sure that I covered enough for the audience to take it and run with it.
No, I mean, you've done a great job in my eyes.
Well, way to feed there, Chris. That was a good job.
Yeah, no, got nothing. It's
you
all
got
on
nothing. I got nothing. You're on your own. Sorry about that, Brandee.
Like I say, my internet's going out.
Oh yeah, right. My initials are BS. Don't even attempt it. No BS in a BS, or when my initials are BS. You know
Definitely.
what I mean? So yeah, that was the broad overview of strategy and things like that. That's the biggest thing that's really important to everyone, is that you can certainly figure out which buttons to push, but unless you have a solid strategy in place, it's just not going to work. And so that's why Chris and I have actually a couple different things going on for you today. So I have a course that is called Hangouts for Business, and it's actually Hangouts for Business Producers Academy. And so mostly what I talk about is all about strategy. I believe it's 90% strategy, 10% tool. There are plenty of free content out there that'll tell you what buttons to push. There's nothing out there that will explain to you the psychology that we brushed on, like marketing it. In the course we talk about structure, we talk about show flow. If you want to go the show route, we talk about actually being a producer for somebody else and making money. We talk about pre-production notes. We talk about post-production notes. We talk about psychology, selling your services, and then there's one module on which buttons to push. And I call it the quick and dirty, right? And then you also, in that, get all of my swipe files. So I have swipe files that are how to get guests in the quick and easy way. I don't talk about G+ at all. I talk about how to get your guest in the most easy possible way. It was actually my very first claim to fame, because I used to do the poke and hope, is what I call it. 3 poke and hopes makes a new best practice. So in it, you get a quick and easy quick start guide. It has big, huge photographs, and it's like 25 pages. And so you have that to reference. There's also a checklist in there. So 30 minutes before your Hangout, do this. 15 minutes before your Hangout, do that. Then the guest swipe file, so something that you can actually use and edit to send to your guests, any of them, whether you're interviewing somebody, whatnot, that you can just take and update. I have an amazing, beyond amazing Facebook group they are incredibly active. So there's not ever going to be a need for a support ticket. If you post in that Facebook group, I have my quote-unquote elite producers, people that have trained with me in one-on-one coaching, that will jump in at the drop of a dime. One of them has a broadcasting background, one of them's a tech geek, one of them's a startup entrepreneur, podcaster, etc. Another one's a big social media manager, and then the group is incredibly supportive. So if you have oh, I want to give this a shot, pop it in the group. They'll tell you where they failed, where they won, what tool they're using, what tool. I mean, I just cannot talk enough about them. They alone are worth an amazing sum of money, and I am incredibly grateful. And it was set up intentionally that way. I wanted a really good core group that would be able to support people in case I wasn't able to answer every single time somebody messaged me. And then they also have come up with some amazingly great and awesome, cool ideas. So, of course, everybody wanted me to charge $1,000 for it. We've heard these kind of things, $1,000, $697. It actually did go up to $497. 6 months ago, it was $497. I just dropped it back down to $297 because we're rolling out another. This will be the 2.0. The 2.0, so you get lifetime updates. I should say that too. I should go back to the modules. So you get lifetime updates. I don't charge you again. So the 2.0 is rolling out. None of my current members have to pay for that. Every time I'll message in the Facebook group and say, hey, I just uploaded a new module. Oh, hey, I just updated a new module. You never have to pay for that. There won't ever be a 2.0, 5.0, 10.0, give me more money kind of thing. So once you're in, and that's it. And then I love feedback in the way that in the Facebook group, when I rolled out the 2.0, I said, what do you feel is missing? What more would you like to learn about? What could I expand upon? So they very much contributed to me adding, several of the modules. I take I take my members very, very seriously, in that sometimes, I think that everyone knows these things, and then they reach out and they're like, well, it was a little vague here, or would you do a deeper dive there, or could you? And I was like, and then I'll ask them, hey, so for anybody new coming in, can you go back to beginner's mind? What would you have liked to see the first time they go through? And so. Just to let you know. So right now it's going to be $297. It's going to go back up to $497 when we officially launch. But Chris has something that he wants to talk about as well in a part of this too, which is exciting because this is, I love this because it's the perfect match for this. So I'll turn it back over to you.
Right. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is, just because I love Brandee so much and she's so awesome and she provides such great content and information, I am going to just give the first 20 people who buy from this Hangout, I'm going to give them access to, we have a product called SimpleSalesLetters.com, and it is a series of 65 professionally written sales letters, and they're fill-in-the-blank sales letters. And they're for all niches, from a service business to coaches to MLM. So pretty much any business that you run, that you have, that you're looking for an effective sales letter, these will apply. And they're all done from professional copywriters. And if you went out and hired somebody to do these for you, I mean, it would probably cost you $10,000 to $15,000. Along with that, I'm also going to give you, we have 19 WordPress website templates. I would assume that most of you probably have some kind of website, but these are templates that have been created through direct response marketing and are proven effective. As well, I'm going to give you a video we did today, an informational video called the 7 Keys to Creating a Kick-Ass Office Culture. And it's a quick overview, a 10 to 12 minute video of the 7 key factors that we have isolated that are important to create great office culture. And then, after that, if you want to, I will schedule 1 hour of my time to just do a discovery call with you and talk about your business and talk about your challenges, and hopefully help you through any of those that you might be stuck on or struggling with. So that's my offer. Everything's free. Go buy Brandee's product and I'll give you mine.
I can't believe, like, I'm like, okay, I want the sales letters, I want the templates. Okay, well, I actually own the product. Can I get those? That's the bane of my existence. Is the I wish somebody would have told me in the beginning about copywriting. You know what
It's
I mean? Like, I wish somebody would have said, before you do anything online, learn this. You know what I mean? So the templates and the WordPress themes, like we talked about this before the thing. That's awesome. And thank you very much for
right.
offering this to everybody.
Oh
So
yes.
yeah, pretty much a no-brainer at this point. I'm like, when we said that, I was like, are you crazy? Um, so yeah, that's awesome. So yep. So now you like, yeah, it is definitely a no-brainer. So you get my measly little course, and you get Chris's templates, the video for office culture, and a 1-hour consult, and the templates, right? The sales letters, the templates,
Yep,
and
all
a
three.
discovery session with you,
Yeah.
which is great because you are probably one of the better coaches, well, the best coach out there. I'm sorry, I apologize. You are the best coach out there. That was kind
There
of
you go.
crappy, wasn't it? Sorry. that was like a little too like the, yeah, you're one of the best coaches out
Well,
there.
mate, yeah, and that's one of the things too. We do a lot of telephone sales, and it can't be one of those things where you're like, yeah, maybe buy from me. I think this is good. It's like, no, this is what you need. This is good. I am
Yeah,
a good coach, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're
So,
the best.
there you go.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
you're the
you are.
best. Thank you
You're the
very much.
best. Yeah, thank you so much. Hey, thanks for putting this together. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty funny, like everybody, 5 months since I have actually personally, publicly been on a hangout that I'm on. I've been on everybody else's hangouts or behind the scenes or different stuff like that. So it was pretty funny. And then Chris and I, both being the unscripted type, kind of jumped into it. He wanted to learn about hangouts, so we seen a lot of synergy, particularly with his audience and with my audience, learning Hangouts. He needs to be on Hangouts. Clearly, I had to beat him up a little bit today about being on Hangouts. So
Well,
yeah,
it's only been 36 years since I've been on one.
yeah, exactly. Well, it's so funny being like, I always feel like so contradictory in that, I'm known as the hangout queen, and then I haven't done one in 5 months. I like, but I mean, well, but I've done them for other people, right? I do them for my
Right.
clients, and, I'm on them and I consult on them, but I actually, on my own personal YouTube channel, have not done one in 5 months, 6 months, I don't know
Well,
how
that's why I
long.
got you to do it. Just trying to keep you in the game.
Yeah, yeah, not to be a hypocrite, right?
Right.
Yeah, I love
So
it.
now you're validated again.
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm back to the Hangout Queen. Now I've got to do.
Yeah.
Now I have to myself do 3 this week. I need to. Yeah, but anyway. All right. So what we were talking about today, because Chris and I will go off on a tangent as always, is you get Hangouts for business. You get all the modules: the psychology, the why, the how, the what, the who. A lot of different ideas, a lot of different strategies. You get the Facebook group. You get the top secret swipe files, all for the rock bottom price of $297, plus all of Chris's amazing bonuses and an hour discovery session with him. So you get the WordPress templates, you get the sales letters that are great for any niche. There's 65 of them, I think. Is that correct? 65 or
That's correct.
69? 65?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you get a discovery session with him, and he's giving away an hour, so that's absolutely insane. Like my people beat me up when I give away 20. So yeah, he's giving away an hour discovery session. And all you have to do, ideally, now he and I both not being exactly, you don't look to us for the technology so much, had a little bit of problems with our add to cart button. So it's actually the one that says buy now is the one that you're supposed to use. That'll directly go to Chris. Chris will set everything up, and then we'll get you rocking and rolling. And I will go ahead and throw in, for the first 10 people that jump on, I'll throw in a 30-minute session. So I'll get you streamlined. So you may like, hey, Brandee, this is my business. That's truly my zone of genius, is to be able to hop on and like laser in and say, okay, this is how you should be doing Hangouts. So this is exactly how you want to do them. You can learn through my course about what buttons to push and what autoresponders and what websites and what flows and all that kind of stuff. But within, actually probably be less than 30, but I'll go ahead and put 30 out there for you, is that if you just want to laser in on, hey, this is my niche, how's the best way to title this, what should my CTA be, and how often should I do it, or should I do a show, or should I just do content, whatever, you can go ahead and we'll jump on for 30 minutes. So you guys rock. Thank you so much for being here. Anything else? Any parting words, Chris?
No, thank you very much. I'm excited. I'm glad that you put this together and that we were able to pull it off, even with all of our difficulties and no planning.
Yeah, exactly.
This will segue into the rest that you have to do the next week. So
Yeah, perfect.
it's
You're the
fun.
best. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We appreciate you. Bye.